Good evening, everybody who has a chance to listen to me. Hear me, I should say. My name is the Natural Guru, and I'm starting up a radio show on Roots Reggae Hub. It's an internet station, you can find it. Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. And I've now gotten a YouTube channel, which I'm trying to figure out, which isn't very easy with the Macs. I think people over 40 have a hard time with Macs. So, as I'm the Natural Guru, I'm just here to have a conversation with the world, with all those who want to engage in a conscious conversation, because I think it's time that the peoples of the world start understanding the value of their life and this world. And that wars and hatred have ruled this world for a long time now. And we as people need to understand that we are the only ones that can reverse the situation and improve it. Now, I know it's a sticky situation because, everybody has a right to an opinion, and everybody has a right to their belief in whatever God they want to believe in, and that's fine. If that belief makes you a better person, then so be it. But as for worldwide, I don't believe in any religions. I don't believe in any religious institutions. It just seems like they become dogmatic. They become more concerned with people following rules or rituals or whatever it is that they do, more important than how we treat each other. And in some way, we've lost our humanity in the last 1,000 years, where we've just become a warring world. Everybody's fighting against each other. And so now we have, conspiracies after conspiracies after conspiracies, when the conspiracy is right in front of your eyes that you live every day, every time you go to work, every time you pay your taxes, when time comes for you to retire, and there's barely enough money for you to live on. I live in Canada, and a long time, it was reported that, the seniors were buying cat food in order to live. And when it comes time for a little pay from the society that you work to support, it doesn't seem like you're remembered. So we've lost our humanity. We've lost the sense of who we are. And I discovered in a book a little while ago that it said the first being to be worshipped and venerated was a goddess, the goddess. And her name was Sekhet Bas. And she was worshipped as the most high, creator of all. In our world today, it's a man and his son. In that day, it was a woman and her sister. How different the worlds are or was. Today we fight, we argue, we take the truth and just twist it and feel like words can change reality. You know? I was watching earlier on YouTube the testimony of the Capitol Police and what they went through on that January 6th, and how appalled they are that some of the people that are elected are actually shunning them, wouldn't see them, wouldn't speak to them, and regularly speak propaganda against what happened. But you know, words cannot change reality. No such thing. I mean, I heard a very, I guess, honorable Republican, and she's the daughter of a man that, wow, wasn't so nice with George Bush. Dick Cheney, no, wasn't so nice to everybody else around the world. And she was talking about an America that represents two Americas. She was speaking about an America that the founding fathers had ideal ideas, and they birthed a democracy, like a free choice democracy. And she was talking that we have to defend the Constitution and so on and so forth. And it's like, in that moment as she was speaking, I was reliving the history that Black ancestors went through in America. And I would imagine their idea and their view of history would be quite different. And that though they have defended America, they've defended America to make America more like those qualities they profess. But they've gotten a fight at every instance. GIs came home from World War II. White GIs got our hands up, and Black GIs were left out. You know, housing, all kinds of things have been done. Majority to Black and Native people in America. Others, yes, to a certain extent, but they were late. You know, the only other ones would have been the Mexicans when their land was confiscated and their queen got killed. You know. But I'm looking at the world today and I'm wondering, in my life, I had a very strange upbringing. And I'll get into it a little later, but for now, to suffice to say that I really didn't have mother and father in my life as per se regular people. I never know who my father is. I've never known. My mother has not ceased to let me know the circumstances of my birth and who my real father is. And my mother just turned her back on me as if maybe I look too much like my father. I don't know what it is. But she's never favored me. So I've been living in the world just as me. And I've lived in Canada the majority of my life. The first part of my life, I lived in the West Indies, Jamaica. And I grew up with my auntie and my uncle on the farm. And there, I don't know, farm living, I don't know. It's the same thing here in Ontario. When you go by the farmers, you still get that feeling, that warmness. Because a farmer is in tune with nature. And if your livelihood depends on you're in tune with nature, it kind of develops you in a different kind of way. Your thoughts, the way you live your life, it nourishes a different perspective of life, you know, than say a person who lived in a city, right? So living on a farm and watching everybody, they would, get a cow ready and, take the cow down, and you as a little boy would be there watching, and they'd be talking about how they slit the throat and this has to drain out, and, and all these kind of things, and fruits of all kinds. And though there was religious context in my raising, it was the farm that really gave me a feeling of pride. Now, in Jamaica, for the first part of my life growing up, I didn't feel the racial tensions that my fellow Americans, Africans in America were feeling. I didn't feel that tension as a child against police or anything like that. I think we lived about a half a block from the police station. And I actually learned how to spell because I wanted to learn how to spell police. So, I grew up not having that sense of, being hated because of who I am. And it was so funny because we lived sort of deep into a little village in a place called Clarendon. And one day, I guess an American, a European or something, came and was lost and made their way to our little community. And the entire community came out to look at her because she was, we'd never seen somebody like that before. And she was asking us, we were going around the car, we were looking at her, and we were like just watching her because we had never seen anybody like that living in that little town in Jamaica. So when my mother sent for me and I came to Canada, I was about 8 or 9 years old. So, the majority, I'm 59 now. And the majority of my life I lived here, and I've raised 3 kids, But, as things go, 2 don't talk to me and 1 just loves me, thank God. So, life is life. What can I say, But in retrospect of the world, my point is trying to tell you that the principal life that I chose to live didn't rob anybody, didn't take nothing from nobody, worked hard for a living, gave an honest day's work for my paycheck, never felt any way. I found that though I did not have a family, I was a part of the human family. Because people out there because I was a decent human being, and if they said, Steve, show up at this place at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd be there at 5:45. Consistently. Like, this wasn't, okay, I'm here today and then, consistently. Because I had kids to raise. And I had nobody in my life. I didn't finish school, and it was that. I had to work or whatever. And I refused to lower a standard where I would allow, police to put their hands on me, do anything that they would have to put their hands on me. And I refused to live that way. And so one day, as I'm staying by a guy, I think just not too long, 16, I'm sitting in his basement and I see a whole bunch of Bob Marley records. And I start listening to Bob. And I thank God for Bob. Because in listening to Bob, I heard myself. I heard the way I thought myself to be, but couldn't put it into words. And here was this man putting into words, for me, my life. And what I was seeing in the world. And so I started a journey, and I'm 59 years old now, and I'm just wondering, because the effort I made to be honorable in life was always met with kindness by regular, ordinary people. And I'd have to tell you that the majority of my life, I was helped by people of another race. And the funny thing about it was, the majority of the people of my race would turn their backs on me. My family, whatever, would turn their backs on me. So I have a different perspective on life, I have a different perspective on life because I accept people for who they are. But I don't accept the society for what it is. And so this is a sharp difference with me, because I am going to speak the truth of the society and the things it has done, because there's no real honor in the society, right? What kind of America would it be if America would stand up and say, okay, we understand the way this country was founded and built, and we are taking responsibility for all that was done to it, and let's try as a unified place to make a difference in everybody's life, being that was not the beginning of our country. Because while we were saying all men were equal, Africans were not considered equal, and they were less than men, and being enslaved by the people who very much wrote those ideas down. So what I see is, in America, black people have been trying to make America like what America wrote, because if you look at the history, it wasn't really the Europeans who came here who really wrote the Declaration of Independence and all those. There were natives here that had those pacts. I think there was like 9 or 10 tribes that had made that similar kind of pact with each other. And they would share food and hunting and all share based on that constitution. So what kind of country would America be? Because I heard a man who is the minority leader in the Senate say, nobody today is responsible for what happened to black people way back then. But the trillions of dollars you have was because you had slaves that made you cotton that sold in the world as the number one cotton. But you never, ever, 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 ever acknowledged and gave credit. And that's really the problem, you know? It's funny because I've been watching YouTube and this phenomena came up about TikTok and the original dancers being black, the creators, the content creators are black, and that, the Eurocentric people were taking them and copying them virtually and then getting credit for it. And it's funny, because that's a microcosm of what's been happening for 1,000 years, right? From what I understand in history, somebody could correct me if they want, but Muhammad, who was the founder of the Islamic religion, spent quite a considerable time in Kemet, aka Egypt. Considerable amount of time. And that the Arabic word for Mahat is Islam. Wow. So between the Europeans who enslaved the Africans for however long, we don't really know because no accurate records were really kept. And the Arabs, which approximately was 1,000 years, enslaving the Africans, walking them across the Sahara. Nobody really likes to talk about these things because, you see, these religions profess some sense of righteousness, but there is no responsibility, so how could there be righteousness? Look at the wealth the Arab has acquired in the world in the last 150 years, right? And all that wealth they use to hire people out of Africa, and then when they come to work for them, beat them and treat them like dogs. But not once did they ever thank the Africans for giving them the basis of their religion. The Christians not once acknowledged Africa as the founder of their religion, the root, the root that no one sees, but without it, the tree wouldn't exist, right? Not once has anybody ever given credit to the African. And you know what? You know what's funny? That mentality has persisted so much in the world today that Africans abroad and on the continent feel that way about themselves. That they have the richest continent on this earth, and they reject it while everybody else is trying to steal it. But in the last 1,000 years, we've had thieves and murderers running the world. So, you look at it today, right? And I know everybody says the Masons are conspirators and all this kind of stuff, and there's a whole persona built up around them. But you know why it is? Because a Mason believes in the principle of a sound building. And there are principles for a sound building. The number one is the foundation. If you don't have a solid foundation, don't matter how pretty the house is built on top, it's going to cave in. and fall. Your book said something similar to that. A house divided against itself will fall. Well, a house that has not a good foundation will fall. So let me ask the world honestly, where is the true foundation of any of these societies? Because everywhere I look, it's a lie that they begun these societies on and then perpetuated the lie because they had enough people to form armies to go fight wars. So we've been fighting wars based on an idea of something that really doesn't exist, right? When the Christian says to the Muslim, I kill you in the name of Jesus Christ. And when the Muslim look at the Christian and say, I kill you in the name of Allah. Which God is right? And which God is wrong? I guess the one who's still alive, if we want to judge it like that. Which God is right and which God is wrong? I don't accept no God. None. When I was born as a baby, God was in me. And life, right? Life is an indivisible duality. The inner and the outer. And they're indivisible. So that's what life is, an indivisible duality. And so when I was born with divinity in me, or I would not have been able to survive to 59. Because no mother, no father, nobody was at my side. I once told my native friend, I told him, I said, I feel like I'm a raft drifting on the ocean because there's no port for me to pull in. And he said to me, because he had a big family, he said to me, hey, you're lucky. And I go, what the hell are you talking about? And he said, because I have responsibility to my big family. You can be who you want. That's when I realized divinity is in me. I don't need to believe in some idea of divinity. I have to live my life in the way that divinity designed me. Right? The inner one, no one knows. The inner one comes on this earth and leaves this earth never being seen by the outer world. How many times you're mad at your husband, your wife, your kids, and you walk into the store and you choose not to be angry at the cash out lady who made a mistake with your order, even though you're pissed off at your family? How many have you decided to be nice to that woman rather than to be how you really feel, angry? See, that's the inner one. That's the inner one that no one knows but you, because you're the one talking to you all the time, right? Now, the scientists, they got it, material world is the only world, when you die, that's it, you're dead, you're gone, and now they're trying to synthesize human feelings and emotions with zeros and ones. The insanity of mechanical minds, But the inner one is never known by outside. It's expressed in what you believe, in how you feel. But take a person who was born into Christianity. Their father, mother, They go to church every Sunday and everything like that. And as they grow older, inside of them, they're saying, wait a minute, none of this makes sense. But my mom and my dad are so devoted to it. I can't disappoint them. So they keep going. And the minute they gain a chance in life as adults, they depart from it. But no one ever knew they really didn't like it, but was making a sacrifice for their parents. So how do we manage the two aspects of ourselves? Because they're indivisible. That's what an individual actually means. Indivisible duality. So you're never me, I'm alone. How could that be? When you always have the inner one talking to you and the outer one talking to the world and the world talking back at it. But we don't take the time to understand the wondrous of life. Because we're looking for wonder in all different kinds of ways. Some people are chasing money. Some people are chasing religion, the idea of. And some people are chasing whatever they want to chase, but no one ever really, kind of think about life and what life truly is. Like I told you, the majority of my life, I weren't helped by people who look like me. Matter of fact, say 70% of the time they were trying to bring me down. I believed in staying with a person when she had children for me. And that I wasn't going to have children outside of her because as a child, not knowing a father, I didn't want those kind of trauma on my kids. So I really didn't have any more than 3 kids in my life. 3 daughters. Beautiful girls. 2 don't really talk to me because, well, we'll get into that, I guess, down the road, because that's a story all in itself. But the point I'm trying to make is, I'm a simple man. I've worked hard all my life, and I've given the best of me to others. Now, I'm 59 years old, I'm disabled. I can't walk very far, and I can't exert myself the way I used to. Actually, I'm not who I used to physically anymore. I used to be jack of all trades. I worked in maintenance mechanic, I worked in electrical work, I was always all over the place because I didn't graduate from high school because I had to leave home. I had to leave home. And so at 15 years old, I was on my own, and this girl came along. She was 18 and I was 15, and, I'm a kid, so I never really had a mother in my life. So she came along, and, I did right by her. I don't know if she feels that way because I eventually walked away, left all that I worked for. But divinity and the ancestors have shown me that I am who I am. And I'm an honest, decent person. I don't come on this earth to be no whoa. Honest, decent person. Loving the people and caring about them who love me, and treating the human world with respect. Though I haven't been treated with very much respect by the world. I refuse to lower my standard to theirs. So I really want to express a love for humanity. And I express a love in the future of humanity. But I gotta be honest with you right now, I don't see it. My daughter just graduated university and I am worried. She's gonna be a marine biologist. And I'm worried there might not be any oceans for her to be a marine biologist of. I'm worried that those kids who are with the farmers, who the farmers are trying to hand down to their children, the skill of growing food to support humanity, they won't have land to grow food. And I'm not understanding the willful ignorance of the world. I'll give you an example. There are these guys that advertise, and it's honorable. I am not putting them down, but I am making a statement. These guys, and they're removing the plastic out of the ocean, right? Admirable. And they're using the plastics to make jewelry, and those reuse the plastic to be useful so they can sell items to support their effort to remove plastic out of the ocean. And that's a great thing. But if we as human beings don't pressure the manufacturers of the plastic, then their effort is not going to achieve the goal. Because every time they pull a ton out, a ton and a half has gone in. Right? So we're not attacking the problems of Earth. We're only kind of going around, and I'm trying to understand it, because everybody in the world today has words that we're advanced. And I'll tell you the truth. I see machinery advancing to the point where human beings don't understand them, and human beings devolving. Right? And may I have to say, you know, me love Muta Baruka. Me have to tell you that. Me love Muta Baruka. Me love listening to him. But him said something the other day where me don't understand. Maybe him could explain it to me, right? Him said that the machine them are the new God, right? And in that sense, him right, because everybody I walk around with it sitting in their hand. And they can touch anything. They can access God anywhere in the world they want. So he's right. So I'm not arguing that. But him said, he used an example that me used to remember so much number. And now, me couldn't remember one number, all me know the name. Give me John Smith. Boom. The number come back, right? And him said, we human beings are not capable of catching up to the computer, the machine. And I disagree. I disagree. When Africans built the pyramid, we never have them kind of computer. when them line it up with knot, and they line up the three of them to match the belt of Orion in the sky. You know what's funny? I have to drop this in there still. Every time I see Orion and I see the belt, I think I'm looking at stars the way my ancestors looked at them. They're still the same. That shows you eternity in the sky. But yeah, when they were building those things, they didn't have an iPad. They didn't have an iPhone, did they? Maybe they did. I don't know. They would have invented it easily because why? They built the pyramids. And it's kind of funny, you know. I've been watching the world, and it's kind of, I don't know. I get into quandaries. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm wondering how you take an entire country out of Africa and put it in a non-existent place of the Near East. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I don't have no teeth because my dentures hurt and I'm only a few months having them and I can't deal with them. So please forgive me if you're, insulted by the fact that I'm talking to you with no teeth. But maybe a man with no teeth can tell you something about life. I don't know. Maybe him can't. Who knows? So it's what I can't understand how an entire country was removed from Africa into the Near East. Every time I think about it, I laugh because it's funny, because it's not reality. When you look on the walls, it's not reality that somebody else other than Africans actually built the pyramids. Or at least their ancestors built them. Africans. But I don't understand the conversation. It's funny because I asked my friend 7-year-old, who do those people on the walls, because we're watching a program on Kemet, aka Egypt. And we were watching the program and I said to him, hey Baba, who do those people look like on the wall? They look like you or they look like me? And he goes, well, they look more like you than me. They don't look like me. And I thought to myself, imagine a young boy knows the truth before his mind gets corrupted by the lies. So in observance, right? This is my theory and my opinion, and it's my opinion only. So I'm looking at it, right? Mohammed gets the foundation of his religion from the Africans, right? In Kemet. So he goes to enlighten his people, uplift them to the understandings that the Africans had been practicing for thousands of years, but he was also admiring how they built their society and their civilization. So he was impressed. So he stayed there, learned what was going on as far as he could tell or gain, right? Took it back to his people, right? And tried to uplift them with the knowledge, right? But now, as he faded, others start to come in that said, we cannot allow the world to know the Africans were the foundation of our religion. So they started the anti-African campaign as Arab, and that they were going to